Welcome. We are getting the show ready very soon. Just need a second. Keep everything from falling around me and destroying my life. Ah, jeez, just stepped in water. See? This is what happens when you have a disorganized setup. I need to organize this place and actually set up so I can produce things without destroying my life. Alright. Enough of that. Anyways, so today, we will be defending American freedom by discussing defeat, failure, eradication of all your hopes and desires. Everything before you demolished in an instant. Maybe longer than an instant. It might be a low, slow, suffering, disease-like crushing of all of your hopes and dreams. That's what we're getting into. The idea of what happens when you're broken, crushed, stepped on, and you feel like the universe is just spitting on you and it won't stop. And you're like, dude, come on. I'm not a spittoon. That's what we're going to be getting into. Failure, honestly, at least in my wisdom in my young 30 years of existence, I've at least have found is the most common thing to human existence. I've seen my parents fail, my grandparents fail, my brothers fail, me fail, my neighbors fail, my friends fail, everybody fails, we all fail. It's a human thing. And we actually, some of us fear it, others go the opposite extreme and they just don't even care if they fail or not. They just do anything regardless of the freaking outcomes. But in the sake of moderacy, we here as shepherds would like to pursue the idea that though failure happens often, it's how we react to failure, the conditioning that we take from failure, that really is the proving ground for why we fell in the first place. Oftentimes, I've seen it put best that you fell because you failed to foresee that which was already before you. The idea being that, I can't think of the philosophical concept or where it came from, but for the sake of purposes, A leads to B, cause and effect. If the environment has something happen, more often than not, it does not happen out of a vacuum. There is a cause for why things happen. Drugs don't end up on the streets. Somebody gets the drugs, distributes them to somebody who then pushes them in the streets. So the idea is that we accept our failures, we define our failures for what they are and what they aren't. We're not using our failures to beat ourselves up, Lord forbid. Because I've gone through that route. Trust me, it's a hell that you don't need to go through. Why beat yourself up over something that you failed over when you could just stop messing up? As annoying as that sounds, and trust me, it's annoying to hear that from everybody. No, just stop messing up! Well, duh! I didn't want to mess up in the first place, because then I wouldn't be talking to you, hearing this crap, for the 15th, umpteenth, thousandth time. Trust me, we've all heard it. Whether we were children or as grown adults. I don't know who's listening, I don't know how old you are, but trust me, these are things that's common to all of us. So how do we take it? How do we receive this? How do we deal with it? We came up with this phrase that we love to use in America, and honestly, probably plenty of other places. I just haven't done trying to even care enough to look. But, oh yeah, sorry. Before this, preamble. Remember, here, we are trying to work towards an ideal. Whether you're Christian or not, the idea is that you have something to rally behind. So before we go into this, we need to understand that failure, it very much deals with you versus the outside. Your interpretations of how you'll be received by the outside affects you usually. And also on top of that, it would be the feelings that you feel in terms of engaging yourself, self-actualization. And so failure is a huge thing to learn how to cope with and reconcile yourself. This is one of the things that for me, I don't have so much trouble with failure. For me, my issue comes with the after effects of failure. It's the, not so much the failure, but the rebuilding portion. I get weary easily. And that's, for me, my struggle. I have to build better, endurance. Better endurance. I have to be able to withstand these constant ebbs and flows, especially considering my mentality and my lifestyle. I have an erratic lifestyle and an asymmetrical lifestyle. So for me, I should not expect the stability and the type of stress-free, let's just say, privileges that would come from having a stable environment or a stable living structure from which to build my ideas from and to actually engage the world with my ideas. So the idea is that self-actualization comes around what you say and understand about yourself and the world. So having a sense of a preamble helps you guide yourself. So we've already gone over this. This is why I'm showing you guys this. If you want to learn more about this, look up Soy Ethos. It is a video I made earlier, a couple weeks back, discussing this very process of what it is to build a worldview, a world structure, and a definition for yourself and everything that you engage with throughout the different structures of the environment of this universe. But pushing on forward to our subject matters, students. Bloop. Defeat. What is defeat? How do we define this this feat of being? I ran out of puns. Sorry. Defeat is to win a victory over someone in a battle or other contest, overcome or beat. So, we defeat, we are defeated. Each day, when you come up with these goals, this list, I'm gonna do the dishes, I'm gonna file my taxes. These are, these are the things that we're trying to defeat. We're trying to tackle them. We're trying to overcome, surmount, and beat them in this contest of will. If these taxes are too annoying, or Lord forbid, you realize you don't know what you're doing, you're probably going to stop. That means it defeated you. But if you overcome it, using TurboTax or whatever means you can to do your taxes, then you've defeated it. So that's defeating something, an instance of defeating or having, or being defeated. And here you, of course, got the different little meanings that you have. I like the term conquest. It's a video game kind of reference, kind of feeling that you get from it. I'm going on a conquest. Today, I have things to do. I'm gonna go to the bank. I'm gonna do some job applications. I'm gonna, make a video. I wanna talk to some people. Conquesting. I'm gonna take care of these things, and I'm gonna bring home this metaphorical meat and grain and stuff back to sup on when I go to bed. And these are the good things that I go to sleep on so that I don't have nightmares at night that keep me up wishing that my life was better or something. I don't know how you guys have these life crises and midlife crises, but we all have them at different moments in our dark parts. The point is that to understand the process by which we defeat them, we need to change the scope and the scale of how we define ourselves and what it is that we're actually dealing with in our lives. Don't just call it what you think it is, call it what it really is. If you live in hell, call it hell. It is hell. Be honest about it. And that's kind of the crispy crust of, did I say crust? Crust. Get your T's right. The crust of what we're really trying to create here out of this weird doughy mess of ideas. Honesty allows you to assess your failures, accept them for what they are, and overcome them by being able to see how you led into that failure and also how it is that you now can prevent that failure in the future. Because a failure is a lack of success. It is the omission of expected or required action, and that's important. One of the things I think is most important that was stressed by early philosophers is the idea of decision. Making decisions, having a choice, even if it's the smallest one, is important to our idea of feeling like we are independent, that we are ourselves, that I'm real, that ghost in the machine kind of trouble that we have as human beings. So when we're looking at failure, we're looking at a lack of success, we're looking at being defeated, we're looking at you have something each day that you're coming up against, no matter how small, how minute. It might just be that your cat's being kind of dumb that day and clawed you. Well, might be a very simple battle. Again, wars are fought over long periods of time and short periods of time, but the conflicts vary on the vast scale. So you could have very small skirmishes alongside very large, booming, dialectical, freaking aerial battles. but you're not seeing any action. So for you, your failure might just be you yelled at your cat or you punted it across the damn room. Take a second, reassess, decide why you made those decisions. I lost control. Why did I lose control? Because this cat keeps doing this thing. But is that the proper reaction to have with the cat? Well, no. Right? Well, maybe. It might be. If you think that way, that's again goes back to your ethos, yourself. I don't care. It's an animal. It's going to do its thing. I'm going to treat it how I wish. Fine. Some people are like that. Again, I'm not talking about judgment calls right now. We're talking about failure. Personal failure, again, before we go to the idea of collective failure. Personal failure deals with this very centered idea of what it is that I want to achieve, how I want to be actualized, how I want to go. And in a way, it is inherently selfish. It is egotistical. That's why our ego gets hurt when we fail. It's not because you're actually hurt. You feel hurt. And in a way, you are traumatized physically because of the stress that's caused by failing. But that's not actually hurting you. You're not hurt because you failed. You're in no different condition unless you got physically engaged with somebody than if you didn't. The only difference is how your mind processes it, and thus the hormonal responses that then is inside of you. If you believe in evolution and science, mainly. Now, if you want to get into the spiritualism of it, then we could have some wiggle room to talk about how your emotions then lead everything, and how you need to be all sensitive and stuff like that to it, and ultra empathetic. But when it comes to failure, what it really is at the end of the day is you just didn't accomplish something. Nothing more, nothing less. When you take it outside of that, it becomes something that crushes you. It begins to become the depression. It becomes the self-cutting. It begins to become the I'm going to drink myself to make myself feel a little bit okay with work. This is how you start self-degrading, self-deprecating yourself. And trust me, it is a hell. So what leads to this quitting? Well, what is quitting? It's to leave. Usually permanently. It's to behave in a specified way. Well, what's a specified way? This is very, very vague, you know? Quitting's vague. Quitting's whatever you make it to be. And that's what's important to realize here, too. And this is really why I'm talking about this, making such a big deal about the idea of failure being so much of a symptomatic thing, something that you're really just doing to yourself. Quitting, that's you. That's your ego. Trust me, I'm saying this as much to myself as I'm saying this to the imaginary audience and the visible audience that I can see on the screen. It's you that quits. If you believe in God, God does not quit. He may say, oh, whoa, it's not time for that. But that's not quitting. And we'll get into that in a second. There's different stages to quitting, and we're going to have to get into the idea of military, looking at this from the military aspect of life. Because again, Darwin made it very clear that life is survival of the fittest. I don't think he had any accent close to that. I just wanted to say it like that. But survival of the fittest. You must duke it out with your genes and with your wits and with your repopulative genetic potential. But anyways, that whole mentality, the biological arms race mentality, if you're going to look at life like that, quitting thus is to be impotent. It's to not act. It's to not choose. And that goes back to earlier what we were saying. Failing, being defeated, is the failure to take action. It's to not be able to act forward. Aggressively, offensively, however you want to put it, oppressively. Who cares? You're not acting when you have every bit in will to be able to act, but you choose not to. You're the person who, when there is somebody screaming for help because they fell on a train track, you sit there and go, oh, let me pull out my phone. Or you sit there and go, oh, I hope someone gets her. Meanwhile, the real go-getters are jumping on the tracks, freaking grabbing her, throwing her over, and vaulting over in the nick of time. And I've seen videos of people do that. It's ridiculous how many people stand by. Nobody even tries to go, can we get it to stop? No, they just sit there and just look and go, oh, like literally watching a train wreck. People do that. Hell, I've had that moment once, and I would say that honestly, this moment always will mess with me, and it's part of the reason why I'm so neurotic. I'm standing there, and to be honest, I was at a rave in the middle of bum nowhere, and I'm sitting there working a little security detail thing, which was like a little private thing you did with the party, and because I was not underage, but these are all people in like their 30s. I was like early 20s, rolling, just got back from the military, just wanted to go hang out with some of my friends. So we're here chilling, doing security with a good friend of mine, and we're just chilling, looking off at the docks. Just we're sitting by the house, just staring, and we watch a guy just plunge into the water. And to be completely honest, we sat there for a good minute and just wondered what happened. Did somebody fall in the water? And if so, is anybody gonna go and get him? And we were like, no, and we're security. We need to hurry up and get him now. But we got him. We got him out the water. We got him we got him good. Gave him new clothes. Got him dressed up. He's sitting there hacking and wheezing. We got him towards the fire and warmed him up. Worked out for the best. But to be completely honest, I've seen many times in my life when people just sit there and let horrible things happen because I thought someone else. That's defeat. That is failure as well. That is more of a defeat and failure, honestly, for all of us, is to not act than to really act and then to watch it fall apart, or to watch somebody just be like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. What's worse, to speak your mind and have somebody prove to you that they don't care about your opinions, or hiding your opinions and hiding who you are in order to find out later, because you have this potential of having this fallout or being not accepted. This is the dilemma that we've been faced our entire lives, that we've seen entire political and religious and social movements founded around. But we don't actually see how much this affects us in our hearts, in ourselves, in our minds, in our core, in our being. And it wrecks us. You see the suicide rate. You see the drug addiction rate. You know the lives of those around you. Heck, those of you who know me, you know my struggles. Heck, I know some of your struggles. We all have failed. But it's how we take it that leads to the reformation of ourselves and our communities. And more so, it leads to the forgiveness of our failures, both for ourselves and for others. One of the things that I see most common is that we can't forgive our elders. We can't see them past what they've done wrong to us or to other people. It's something I've struggled with in my life. It's something that I see people struggle with in their lives, and it's so hard. Heck, this is one of the main dilemmas people find with religion. They can't separate the church from Christianity, Christianity from Christ, Christ from humans, and humans from their concept of God that's in a box and usually defined by these vain ideas of what it is to be powerful. So when we look at ourselves, we have to ask, are we just quitting? I think that we are a society of quitters. I quit a lot. I quit on you guys, I quit on myself, I quit on God, I quit on my family. And we have to look at ourselves and ask, is this who we want to be each day? Do we want to look in the mirror and know that though you succeed so much, you did not do what was right in the end? Maybe for you, or just in general. It doesn't matter. You know there's something you're lacking, and it's driving you insane, so you either don't think about it, or you think about it too much. Either way, you're not happy when you do, so it irritates you, you get upset. If people call you out on it, you're going to lose your shoot. Trying really hard not to cuss. Working on it, people. Pray for me. But if you behave in a specific way that leads to you not engaging in something that you actually have a say in, then you are quitting. Now, what kind of quitting are you doing? There's the retreat, where you withdraw from an enemy force as a result of their superior power or after defeat. It is an act of moving back or withdrawing, a signal or a military force to withdraw. You say retreat, oh God, they're overwhelming us, retreat! Well, in a small sense, what is a retreat? It is I know that I'm right because I've watched you do something wrong, but I know that if I engage you or call you out on it, you're going to scream at me and probably sock me in the face. Do I really need to die on that hill because you want to spit on a homeless person? You might. You might not. That's the difference between the retreat and the other kinds of quitting, failure, withdrawing. You have the concepts of retreat, routing, You have the framed retreat, and you have the withdrawal. Um, the two that I believe in the most, and I think give you the most leeway, whether you're Christian or not, that's not saying that you should do it, that's just saying to be honest, rather than driving yourself insane or losing your faith over it, just understand that you live to be probably about 100 unless you do something stupid, or we all as a society do something stupid. So if you do your part as a Christian, you're probably already helping society and humanity not be stupid, which means you're probably going to get to live a little bit longer if God's willing. So again, framed retreat, withdrawal. Those are things that we can kind of get into, but you never want to be routed and you never want to retreat. So this is when we get into this is why I'm saying there's a difference between a type of quitting that we do in different engagements with people. It's okay to not always win everything. Sometimes it's okay to start stuff knowing you're not going to win, just for the sake of just making it open so that everybody can hold it and everybody can be accountable, because it's just been put out there in the air. That's hard. You may not want to do it. It's uncomfortable. Oh man, it burns bridges. It robs you of your family. But Christ said to his own mother, I do not know you. For those with me are my family, but those in the world I do not know. And he already knew that his mom was with him. Who wouldn't be with him but his mother? But anyways, the purpose of him saying that was because of the crowd around him. He wanted to make it clear. Family is important. Everyone in your life that you love, that you care and you cherish, you care about them, you want them to succeed. And he wanted his family and his country to succeed. But he knew that if you constantly rely on what your fear of their judgment or what they fear for you leads you in your life, you will never do what God wants you to do, or what the universe wants you to do, or what you want you to do. Doesn't matter. I'm trying to keep this kind of open for everybody, but the whole purpose is that you have to understand, is this society telling you to give up? Or are you knowing that you can't actually do it because you just lack the skills? Those are very different things. If you lack the skills, you can work on them. Or you might realize that it's not worth working on them, and that you can outsource them, which means you need friends, you need associates, you need people to grow from, and mentors, people to be around you. That might be a call for you to, I don't know, outreach, to build yourself in a way that makes you less introverted, more extroverted. Maybe perhaps you're too extroverted and you're being called to go inside, to work yourself on the inside and make yourself more self-reliant. However it goes, you never want to retreat, you never want to be routed. You only want to have moments of framed retreat and withdrawal. And those are very rare. You cannot win a war on framed retreats and withdrawals. You can make some very spectacular victories, and you can actually win a war on a good turn tide because of that, but that means that you were like, they put everything into you. That's where like you're getting into a fist fight and you pretend like, oh, whoa, like you try to talk them down so that they think, oh yeah, no, I'm really just trying to beat you up right now or rob you, and then they just go off on you. Well then, go. Just go. You framed retreat long enough by trying to engage them, de-escalate. They didn't take the framed retreat, beat them, and then route them. And then save your life and then get the hell out of there. So there's different ways of doing this. Going into the next one, though, is the route. Because the retreat is different from a route. Same, but different. When you retreat, you realize, I can't handle this, boys. I'm out. This is the, whoa, you're about to start a bar fight with them? Homie, I'm about to go to the bathroom. That's the retreat. A route is the train station incident. That is a route. That is everybody, what are we gonna do? That is the school shooter. We're all sitting around going, oh, what are we gonna do? It's disorderly. It's havoc. There's no plan. You don't even know what you're doing or why you're failing. You're just failing for the sake of you're just acting too fast to even think about your mistakes. This is like how you become homeless, because you're so overreacting to every single possible stimuli that you literally are just a disorderly mess who's just falling apart at the seams. Can't handle their crowd, can't even get their walk straight because they're constantly looking over their shoulder like, I messed up something? You never want to be in a routed state. A routed state of mind means that you're completely impressionable, you're completely self-destructive, you're self-deprecating, and you're not going to be able to think ahead. And the things that you think of, you're not going to be able to trust. You do not want to be in a routed state. It's better to retreat. Just know you're cool, or just to be a coward in retreat than to be routed. To just find out that you fell apart because you just, I don't know what to do. Ooh, No, broski. Nah, that's not a state you want to be in. So how do? Well, actually, we'll get into the how to avoid these things as we finish up, because I'm gonna try to end this around 6:30, so we're not gonna be doing this for too long. But moving on. Here's well, actually, yeah, we're gonna get into how to not do these things, but we're gonna finish up with the last two definitions before we get into that quick bit. From the wiki, a framed retreat is a military tactic whereby the military force pretends to withdraw or to have been routed in order to lure an enemy into a position of vulnerability. This is why I was saying, like, somebody's going to rob you. Oh no, whoa man, calm down. You know, I got nothing. And if he keeps pressing, well, I guess you prove you're a piece of crap. Let me beat the crap out of you and prove to you I know how to defend myself. That way you don't hurt any other innocents. Boom. Framed retreat. A framed retreat is one of the more difficult tactics for a military force to undertake. It requires a lot of discipline. We have some of the most disciplined people. The most disciplined. Disciplined the most. I'm working on my Trump. Sorry, people. I'm trying to work on those parodies. This is because if the enemy presses into the retreating body, undisciplined troops are likely to lose confidence and the rout will become genuine. So the idea is that you have to have balls of steel to pull off a good framed retreat. This is the, come on! You, what, you won't, you're too afraid to drink? Alright, fine, I'll have a beer. Oh, well fine, let's go and have like 15 shots. Ha ha! No. 5. Boom, boom, boom. You know your limits, you know where you're going, you know how far you're going back on what you would otherwise never intrude on. Because again, no army plans for defeat. Art of war. The idea is that you try to break your enemy's will and make them think about defeat. You don't think about defeat. You think about how you overcome the enemy and remind them of their inevitable defeat. It's mind games and war. So the idea is that you have to have that kind of confidence in yourself to really know, like you have to know yourself well to be able to break some rules. This is why I say it is easier to just leave your old life behind. As Christians, Christian side advice, or even if you're just trying to get your life straight and you're leaving bad company behind, leave the bad company behind, go to new company. Don't try to mingle or mix company. That's going to mess you up. It's far too hard to go back and forth unless you're really trying to go on a different kind of path and be a different kind of person than most people are trying to be, with having less stress and not actually being in a neurotic state. Well, you're a different kind of person and you're going about things probably differently than most people anyways. Otherwise, you don't want to mess around with it. But for those of you who are kind of a little bit crazy, a framed retreat is probably what you do often. You're the person who, I don't need to drink, I don't need to do these things, you're not going to force me to do it by shaming me. But if we're sitting here and you offer me a cup, I could have a beer. I could probably enjoy a cigarette if that's really just, I'm sitting here, you're crying, and you're like, oh, you mind if I have a cigarette? And you have a cigarette and you pass me one. I'm not going to sit there and be like, nah, man, I don't have a cigarette. I'm Christian. If that's what you want to do it. Use it as a witnessing moment. Tell them about your life. There's probably a way for the Holy Spirit to let you use it. It's just not something that usually comes to my mind. Half the time, it's just like, take it, smoke a little bit of it, kill the rest of it. Take 2 drags, done. If you smoke the whole thing because, holy crap, this is really depressing stuff, well, fine, but don't ask for another one. Just don't ask for it. Don't go near it. You don't invite it. If it's offered to you in a context of something where you're missioning, don't let it distract from your mission. But if you can't avoid it, or if it would cause an undue rift between you and the person you're missioning to, I personally say go with what the Holy Spirit tells you to in the moment. That's go to your leader, your sergeant in the moment. That's my best Christian advice. When you're in the field, you're part of the squadron, look at what your squad's doing, sure, but always pay attention to what the commanding officer's doing around you. He'll be able to tell you what to do, so go to Christ, go to the Holy Spirit, which is your sergeant, and do what they tell you. Best advice I can give you on that, go to the Bible. Boom. So, the idea is that rather than letting yourself be fully demolished, fall into disorder, this is, I see the train coming, I know I'm too slow to jump on the tracks and get it. But that guy doesn't look like it. We need to go and get her off. Go. That is taking authority. You may never have taken authority before in your life, but that one moment was probably all you were needed for to save a life. Just you look competent, do something for them. I can't do anything for them, but I know you look like you can. What, me? I can't? Well, together, we have to go over there and at least try to get somebody to come. Go over there, get them help. This is what we're usually taught to do when you're dealing with people who are having cardiac arrest, when they're they're seizing and stuff like that, and you're trying to go and give them CPR and crap. Calling somebody who's more competent around you while you try to do that, at least something to try to get them in a position where you can actually help them. If you don't know anything, you don't help by touching them, but you do get attention that somebody who can possibly do something needs to get their ass over here now. And that's even insofar as you're commanded to go and say, you, call 911 right now. If that's all you can do, you order somebody to do that. People react to orders in a time of crisis, and you react that way as well. I react that way as well. So when you're confronted with a sudden thing that you haven't prepared for, look for the orders, look for the rules you've already predefined. This is why we have laws, we have regulations, we have standards, we have familiarity and habits and social constructions. Those things exist so that we can quickly rely on them in a niche and pinch to keep us from doing dastardly, messy things to mess up our lives and the lives of other people. This is I'm drunk! Should I go sleep with her? Society says, no. Today's society says go for it. But we saw how that works out. We get rid of those mistakes. By the tens of thousands. Anyways, a tactical withdrawal or retreating defensive action is a type of military operation, generally meaning retreating forces back while maintaining contact with the enemy. A withdrawal may be undertaken as part of a general retreat to consolidate forces to occupy ground that is more easily defended, to force the enemy to overextend to secure a decisive victory, or to lead the enemy into an ambush. It is considered a relatively risky operation, requiring discipline to keep from turning into a disorganized rout, or at least very least doing severe damage to the military's morale. This used to happen a lot in World War I. Oh my gosh. You go storm a trench with a couple 100,000 men, all spread out over like 20 miles, and they're all just getting housed just to prepare for one withdrawal, so that hopefully they can trick the enemy into being offsetted by thinking they gain an advantage, so they can rout them and then push them back an extra 10 miles down line. 20 miles of death for 10 miles down forward. World War I, people. What did we do it for? League of Nations. For a better and brighter future for the whole world. Who? Anyways, this is kind of getting back to what I was saying before. A framed retreat is I'm taking 5 shots, I know my limits. This is where Lord, Holy Spirit, the Lord said that once you receive the Holy Spirit, you could drink poison and it won't affect you. And you can get bit by serpents. I really hope that's true right now, because I can't get out of this. Let's go. That's when you just have to deal with it. You're fighting with the enemy tooth and nail. You're dealing with your failure tooth and nail. But you have to just keep battling it and take your victories one at a time. Going back for people who are secular, the idea would be like, okay, you have a boss at work who's causing you hell, and trust me, I wish I had been able to fully be able to keep this mentality, but again, I lack forbearance, so I eventually broke under the pressure, and I was defeated. This is why I eventually led to myself self-destructing and leading to a lot of situations where I ended up getting injured and stuff. A tactical withdrawal that went very bad, because again, I got pushed to a point where I was dealing with such a hostile force that I was constantly just battling back and forth, and I was not letting myself get time to rally my forces to get good morale. We were talking the other day about memes, the idea that a meme really can affect your reality. It can affect your sense of self. It can be able to become personified, almost alive. Well, the meme of adversity really, really can destroy your ability to take in good information and positivity from around you. The love of others, the beauty of nature, those things become blinded and grayed out because of what happens to you that makes you feel depressed or feel like you're not respected or worthless. So you have to be able to push through those things. Tactical withdrawal is not what you want to be going through. And one of the things that we go through in society is that we spend so much time trying to come up with quick ways to avoid it. Like, again, this is why I say we need to be honest about our failures. The way to defeat failure is by accepting it, dealing with the losses, and then looking for your allies to come and reinforce you. Whether that's self-initiated by you reading good books, listening to a good movie, listening to a good song that raises your morale, somehow, or praying to God, reading the Bible. There's thousands of ways you probably can figure it out. You guys do it. How you do it. The idea is that you raise your morale. Go talk to your mom. Go talk to your friends. Go talk to your pastor. Go talk to the grocery store clerk. Somehow, that may seem and feel kind of weird. You may feel, it's not me. Well, is being depressed you? Is feeling worthless you? Is wanting to die you? Is feeling like you can't succeed in doing this thing that is making you feel bad about yourself you? I like to hope not. So you go and you move and get your morale, you get your allies, you get your resupplies, and you engage the enemy again. The enemy keeps coming at you, and you can't get a break. The tax man's breaking down your door and taking everything. Go seek something positive. Do not just get immersed only in fighting the enemy that you never actually think to call for help. That's how you lose the war. So how are pearls made? These pearls of wisdom we like to talk about. Do we ever even learn how pearls are made? Well, a pearl is a hard object that is produced in the soft tissue of a shelled mollusk, such as an oyster or a clam. It is made up of calcium carbonate, which is the same substance that the shell... I'm not wearing my glasses, so honestly I can't even read right now. The words are so small. Hold on. There we go. The shell of the mollusk is made of. Naturally occurring pearls are rare and hard to come across, and it is only recently that people discovered how pearls are formed. A natural pearl is formed when an irritant, such as sand or a parasite, enters the shell of a mollusk. The mollusk forms an air pearl sac. Forms an... It's N, not R. That really messes me up. The mollusk forms an pearl sac around the irritant and produces a mollusk-like substance, a mucus-like substance, made of calcium carbonate to coat it. The process is repeated dozens of times, and the mucus hardens to form a pearl. It's an anti-infection method. That's actually really kind of clever. So, if you think of the human being as a mollusk, the defeat is the intrusion of the foreign parasite, the irritant, the parasitic entity that is digging into you, keeping you up at night, causing you to have nightmares, causing you to yell at your neighbors and your loved ones. You don't understand what I'm going through. Whole exorcist moment. Yeah. You're a mollusk with an irritant inside of you. So what you're doing is you're building these pearls, these wonderful little things. Now, this is building up to something. Trust me. I'm hitting you guys with some pure gold over here. These irritants that we fill, we take them in. And there's two ways to let them in. You can either not let the substance harden. You can constantly stroke it and poke it and prod it and be like, why isn't this irritant moving? But you're a mollusk. So all of this pushing's not going anywhere because you're a mollusk. You don't have arms. So you're really not reaching anywhere. All your thinking's not really affecting anything. You're just recognizing what's happening to you. So how do you accept this? Well, by accepting it, you're just letting it harden in you. Then what happens is eventually you can just let it out. And then you got a pearl of wisdom. A pearl that you can give to people. A pearl that you can use to help you buy yourself out of these situations because you've now built up the endurance, the experience, and the discipline to be able to see how the situation will work out, how it's panned out before, and how you can re-engage the situation to produce a new outcome. Now, in society, we have an artificial way of producing pearls. Artificially made pearls are known as cultured pearls and are made by a tissue transplant. A tiny piece of tissue is transplanted into a donor shell to produce a pearl sac. The donor mollusk then produces a calcium carbonate mucus, and a pearl is formed. Some cultured pearls are formed by placing a spherical bead into an oyster and letting the natural processes of the oyster turn into a pearl. Freshwater pearls are produced by the mussels, who can produce up to 10... Thank you. So what we deal with... Ugh. Okay, fine. There we go. So what we deal with is this irritant that's inside of us, and we accept it. We allow it to become defined as the pearl, and we get it out of us. Or we can listen to other people and let them transplant their irritant into us. Now, that does cause stress. Oftentimes it's stressful to talk to people about what's happened to them, or hear their flaws and their failures. Oftentimes we don't even want to hear it because we just have issues with them. I don't respect them, or whatever, that's their mistakes. I will never make a mistake like them. Whatever your excuse is, again, we shouldn't make excuses. The idea is that we oftentimes can either take in and accept these irritants for what they are and turn them into pearls, or we could fight against them and just allow them to kill us on the inside or outside. Doesn't really matter how. Irritants are irritants. Going back to our title, failure happens, excuses should not. Excuses happen when you're trying to take a defeat, a failure, a rout, a retreat, a framed retreat gone wrong, a tactical withdrawal gone wrong. When you take those and you try to dress them up for what they aren't. When you don't admit to your shortcomings and to the strengths of the enemy. There's no benefit to saying, well, we had plenty of troops. What happened was we had bad tactical information. When in reality, you had great tactical information, you were told you didn't have enough troops, and you still engaged with the enemy anyways. Well, now you're getting sent in there without the troops you need, but now you have great troops who have tactical advantage, so maybe you might win. That might help you. And for many people, it does. You come up with these cheap ways of making excuses for how to get through things, rather than dealing with the truth of what you're dealing with, and then you go through it. It's easier. You stress out about life less. Again, I usually mock people like that. That's not how I go for life usually. But again, there is benefits to it. I see why you guys do the things you do. But still, there's a difference. I mean, again, there's a fine line. The excuse versus the understanding of your flaws. It's great to acknowledge your flaws, but do not let your flaws define you. How you think of yourself does matter. And if you say that you cannot do something, if you say that this thing's too strong for you, if you say that the universe conspires against you, then you will not succeed because you've already set the cards against you. You can't fight the future. You can't fight time. You can't fight humanity in large. You're just one person. Maybe 1,000 of you could. But again, you're so self-defeatist or so failing so much, why would you ever imagine you could have tens of thousands of you guys ever succeed if you never have before? So again, this whole idea of the civic uprising and stuff like that, that's why that's so dangerous. We get into these idealistic notions that change happens without the necessary risk of displeasure, of pain, and of loss. That happens in love, it happens whether we work, it happens whether or not we go to church even. You're going to feel pain. You need that pain. I would say that I have felt more pain in the 4 years since I've been really trying to become Christian, still failing, than when I was succeeding at being a Christian. I was a great church boy, and I was in church all the time, doing what I was doing when I first converted. I converted, wasted a couple years in that conversion, even though I could have benefited a lot from growing in my Christian walk then. Instead, pissing it away, thinking I made it to the abode of peace. I thought I had already made it. I thought I was hot stuff. I was in the military doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But now I realize the flaws, the ego, the arrogance that I had in my youth, thinking that just because I worked my hardest, just because I had succeeded so much at a young age, I was set. I'm honestly not at 30. I now have to work to do things that otherwise younger Colin would be looking at myself like, how are you struggling with that right now? I'm swimming in money. I'm swimming in success. I'm swimming in all these opportunities. And I'm looking back at myself going, boy, those were only for a moment. And only because you were blessed with the right motions and you did the right things at the right time and you had other people who led you to make right decisions. You need to be more graceful. And thus I am. I reflect a lot more on myself. I reflect a lot more on what other people do around me because I realize just how much things are affected by day-to-day choices. How these failures build up into major defeats, major losses, that's That's as much as it needs to be said. Major losses, because people kill themselves when they fail too much. When they feel like the whole world is against them, they'll kill themselves. And that's something we have to prevent. Whether you're a shepherd or not, we should want to preserve life. We should want to pursue life. We should want to live and help others live life. And this is why we fight failure. This is why we do not make excuses for our failures, but instead we accept them so we can help others accept them, and together we can all rise against our failures. And the biggest way of defeating failure is accountability. Admitting your shortcomings. And this, again, this whole process is how you become accountable to yourself, to others, how you can hold other people accountable by calling them out and being willing to take that tactical defeat in the moment by letting them win the argument because you know they're going to play dirty, to then go back and be like, dude, is this how you really believe a friendship should be? That you treat me this way because I said this? Because I don't think that way of you, and I don't want to treat you that way. So why would you think that's how you should treat me? That allows you to build accountability between people. Repertoire. Repertoire builds rapport, you know? You must have the ability to engage with what is inside of yourself and actualize it in the world. Don't hide it in, especially if you know what's right. If you know something wrong is being done, speak to it so you can actually help people. We fail so often, and this is coming from the chief failure of all. I do not do what is right all the time. A lot of times I just sit by, or purposely just let my life go to crap, or make bad decisions. I am a perfect testament, actually, to Paul's verse in the Bible of, I pray all the time to the Lord to remove this thorn from me. But I find that even though I do this, the Lord will not remove it from me because it would make me arrogant. And this is how I've learned to accept the fact that I do fail still. Even though I feel like I should know better and have all those tools and fallible in me, and I know that I've beaten some things before, I still get caught off guard. I still get sucker punched a couple little bit. I still get rockied a couple times where, Rocket 3 when he lost. There's that whole feeling, you want to beat yourself up, you want to get into the pit. God, I get there too. Depression's something I struggle with my whole life. Even now. That's why, again, I talk to you guys openly about me being in therapy and stuff like that. That's not me just being like, oh, have pity on me or anything, or oh, I'm better than you all. That is just admitting shortcomings, accountability. I can't handle this on my own. The things that I deal with in my mind and outside of me, I've realized I can't go to other people with. It's not something necessarily I can reconcile fully with God because it brings me into anger and conflict with Him. And so I go to therapy for it because I want to have a healthy balance in my life. Assessment, accountability to progress. And progression is what shepherds want. You want the flock to grow, to be healthy, and to prosper. And you want to prosper as well. You don't want to be fighting wolves every single day just to get a little lamb some grass. That's not how you want to live your life. Battle to battle, paycheck to paycheck, shift to shift. We do these things because we're told to, and because we know that to a certain extent, it is okay to do that. It's good to work. It is good to, help your country by, giving some taxes and stuff like that. But these are voluntary. They should never be forced. They should never be done because, oh, we're going to kill you or not, or because you're the worst human being like Hitler. No, it's not coerced. It's because you love people and you want everybody around you to prosper, and you hope that they also want you to prosper, so everybody's doing their part. The social contract. A covenant between a nation and its people, and the people between the people. Maybe a God. Who knows? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But still, how we take these things really defines us. And as I need to get ready for this meeting, I just want you all to know that got distracted by that. We, as a society, focus on victimization too much. We focus on defeat too much. We focus on the things that hold us back too much. We don't think about the great things that are before us and that we could possibly achieve. I think that it's good to think about how things can go wrong. Trust me, oh boy, I'm cynical. Anybody who knows me knows how cynical I can get. But you hamper that cynicism with the understanding that there is a right and a wrong way of doing things, and that honestly, theoretically, there could be a utopian world. We may never have it, And you can juxtapose things with the utopian world that you have in your head. But you should strive towards a utopian world in yourself while acknowledging that this is reality and that utopian world is pretty much heaven. Real to you and your people, but to everybody else, you got a mission to them about it. And how does that go for the Christian church usually? Why are you here talking to? So, it's probably going to be a mess for you. Just saying. With great love, great respect, may the Lord bless you all. May your weekend be long, not too hot, not too rainy, not too weird from this weird summer that we're in, but just peaceful and tranquil. And if you guys are able to recover and just be able to finally hone in and figure out what's ever going on with you and be able to get through it. We all have these different struggles. For me, actually, the reason why I didn't make videos for the last couple weeks is because I was figuring out my own stuff, you know? Highs and lows, people. So don't let yourself get down. Don't make excuses when you do get down, because those excuses become reasons to stay on the ground. You get up. You go for another round. Then, when you seize the town, you can talk about how you were once on the ground, thinking that you'll never rise above these circumstances. You're at a crossroads, but you're going to get over it. We all will. Our society will. And we're coming into some very interesting times. Things are definitely ramping up. And there's some things that some of you guys have heard me talk about on here that, like I said, it's going to be fun times for everybody. So stay frosty. Prepare, but don't freak out. Like I said before, do not be led by fear. Do not be led by failure. Do not be led by hate. Do not be led by excessive love. Instead, be led by peace. Not wisdom, not anything else, just peace. Things are as they often always are, as they always been, even though we've lived so short of lives compared to the grand stream of humanity to really recognize just how minute so many of the terrifying things before us actually are. They're nothing different. There's the scales changed. But in that, if you have peace, you can see it for what it is and actually deal with it in the proper means. And I'll leave it at that. You stay blessed, people. Love you all. And I'll see you guys later on.